Hey friends. So I had a little insight show up yesterday after I did my post in which I spoke about having sort of sustained an injury. I injured my wrist 2 days ago on the 4th of July playing tennis in what feels like a very silly way. I just used my wrist to kind of muscle a ball in a way that, it's not great tennis technique, but also has never in my life resulted in anything like what has happened. And, and I spoke a little bit yesterday. I think I was beginning to allude to the ways in which our body and our spirit are always in communication, our body and our consciousness, and how the same injury from the point of view of consciousness, if I'm grounded there, anchored there, and kind of stably oriented there, that injury looks like a gift. It looks like something that's taking me forward. Whereas if I just let my attention be drawn by either the pain or healing takes energy. So our physical body is kind of like, I've felt for the last day and a half, like there was it's almost like the battery's just being drained quickly. I'll sleep a good night's sleep, but I'll still be tired. And that always communicates to me, okay, like we're in a healing mode. I need more rest than usual. I need to recover. And so I'm gonna feel a little bit like that for a couple days. But what showed up in a way that I wasn't necessarily anticipating, couldn't have anticipated, is that the injury also seems to be communicating a lesson that I need to learn in life. And this is, I might have alluded to this yesterday as well, this has been a constant experience for me. Ever since doing a kind of deep physical training in Qigong and then doing some physical theater training where it really linked up the physical body, the emotions, the psychology. Ever since that time when I really felt like I made some powerful connections there, every injury I've ever had has felt like been like a kind of therapy. Injury has been the therapy. It's not, which is kind of ironic because you'd think like the injury requires the therapy, but it's actually the injury is the therapy. And what I mean by that is, like in this example recently, there's a way in which I have known and continue to be aware of the fact that I'm carrying a kind of weight. I'm carrying a kind of weight that I don't need to be carrying. And it's not a weight of, it feels like a weight of responsibility, but it's not actually a weight of responsibility. It's the weight of a false identity. And being sensitive to that, I've been aware of this for some time, I would say. It's become more prominent recently, and I've certainly gotten more clarity on the difference between what's my own kind of genuine core impulses and impulses that kind of come out of this, what I would call a false identity. but I would say I'm still in the process of shedding that. I'm not through that process. I don't feel like I'm completely stably oriented in the next phase yet. And an injury, and so there's a sense of carrying weight, holding weight. There's a sense of really kind of deeply wanting to put down that weight, wanting to not carry it anymore, wanting to do something else with my energy. And I get an injury that makes it extremely difficult for me to hold any weight, which has been the sort of like very consistent feeling over the last day and a half, 2 days almost, where my wrist kind of feels okay. It doesn't mind moving. I mean, it doesn't love going through a large range of motion, but it's, you know, it's able to, I'm able to exercise it a bit. But as soon as I hold on to anything, as soon as there's any weight bearing, even the weight of a glass of water, becomes an instant strain. It's like I feel this curve of throbbing kind of come up the top part of my arm and into my forearm, and I just have to put it down. And if I do that, I did that a little bit yesterday while we were making dinner for a little too long, and it just puffed up my wrist, and it was throbbing afterwards. It wasn't really crazy inflamed, but it was clearly like my wrist was saying, "Don't do this. Put the weight down, Robin." And I'm always attentive now to messages from the body like that. And I've learned to interpret them not simply at the surface level. In other words, not just at the level of don't pick up heavy things with your hand, Robin. It's like, don't pick up heavy things, Robin. Put anything that is bearing on you down. Put it down. And I think that's an important lesson right now. I think that's a real key for me. And it's a little scary, you know, because I think this false identity, this layer of false identity is like a security blanket. I've been wrapping myself in it for a while. And so, you know, there's a ton of freedom to be gained, a ton of autonomy and lightness and playfulness and just wonderful inspiration there. But I'm gonna have to give up my security blanket. You know, and that's just never fun. Doesn't matter how many times we've done it. Doesn't matter what age we are when we go through one of these thresholds. It always feels existential. And it kind of is. You know, we're letting go of an identity. And I think I may be able to go into more detail about that in a future post. But right now, I'm just registering this kind of amazing, never misses a beat correlation between my body and where I am in my overall life. There's always a deep connection there. And seen from the vantage point of my growth and evolution, it's like such a perfectly, divinely tuned, elegantly aligned system to bring us into alignment and into the next phase of our growth and evolution. It's unbelievable. It totally explains why something that I did on the tennis court that should not have resulted in this did, because my body was potentially asking for it, saying, I need this lever to be able to move Robin through this. I need to communicate some things. So we got to open a door here. You know, Carl Jung's idea of the wounded healer. The wound is where the healing enters. The wound is not the problem that needs to be healed. The wound is how the healing enters. It's how the healing enters the healer. That's how the healing enters the patient. That's what this feels like. So I've got this wound, or this injury, that is trying to heal me. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that crazy amazing? So yeah, that's where I am today, folks. Another beautiful morning out here. Hope you can hear me over the waves. But I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you. I appreciate you. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.